Hello from Liverpool for the fourth race weekend of this year's Honda Formula 4-Stroke Powerboat Series. It was here last year that Gavin Parsonage and Nathan Livy, a negotiator, won their first 225 horsepower title. But with a shaky weekend in Lowestoft last time out, the pressure is really on. Let's join your race commentator, Ben Edwards.
We're used to seeing negotiator challenge for the lead, but less used to seeing them make a mistake. Nathan Livy was unceremoniously catapulted into the water, thankfully without injury, and they still finished the race. Unlike the crew of Delmar, who both went for a dunking. They were also chasing for the win at the time. So, while chaos reigned behind them, Richard George and Mickey Sanders took a well-earned victory and put themselves into title contention. They now lie joint second with Heights of Abraham and only 1 point ahead of Jack Glendinning's Real Player. Further down, Premier Crew is ninth, ahead of Marcel Meeberg, Chris Mitra and Andy Gardner with Notorious. Points leaders Negotiator know they may have a battle on their hands with Scream It.
His driving ability and Nicky's navigation is improving all the time. So yeah, they're slowly closing in on us. So we need a strong weekend this weekend to fend them off, but we should be right, I think.
So can Richard and Nicky maintain the sort of form we saw in Lowestoft? They lack some of the experience of their rivals, but they're improving all the time.
Perfect, come on, Rich.
We're getting more and more confident as each race goes by. So for us, I mean, it's going to be foot factor for straight down. We're going with the tide today, so you know it's going to be really, really quick down. There's going to be lots and lots of boats in front because, of course, we're starting from behind today. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is going to be a race to watch because everybody's nerves is starting to fray. The points are close. Only one event afterwards, and so it's not quite make or break, but it's getting there.
And let's not forget Simon Bucknell and Jack Glendenning. They've raced here before successfully, and they know how tricky it can be.
I think it's going to be quite aggressive racing, and there's going to be a fair amount of chop. So I think we might see a bit of the odd smack or two going on. I think it's predictable, but no, I think everyone's just got to keep their wits about them.
We're zigzagging our way up the British Isles, having raced in the southwest, then East Anglia. Now we're in the northwest for the Liverpool Grand Prix. The European Capital of Culture for 2008 hosts the event in the Docklands area, and the choppy waters should suit the local crew of Team Williams.
The rough's much better for us. We haven't got the top end speed, and that rough water will leaving it out between us and the quicker boats. There's a couple of boats quicker than us, probably three boats quicker than us, and of course they can't reach the top end when it's rough.
We could pick up quite a lot today, providing we hold together in one piece.
Yeah, the conditions in your favour, would you say?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, the problem is it's just survival of the fittest. I mean, the boats do break in these conditions, and it's just driving them as quickly as you can, but trying to look after them at the same time that counts.
So here's the lineup for the first race, with the slower boats in the first rank and the faster boats 150 metres behind, including Negotiator and Heights of Abraham. But the boats towards the bottom of the picture should have the advantage up to the first mark, and that includes Jonathan Lewis's Red Devil.
Yellow. Green. Green, go.
On board Red Devil, Jonathan Lewis and Graham Eldred. And the two of them setting off from that front rank, if you like. You can see Red Devil there, not going that quickly at the off. I think they're finding these conditions a little bit painful.
I don't like this.
Well, Jonathan ended up in hospital earlier on this year with some injuries as a result of some pretty rough waters, and I think he's going to find it pretty painful out there in this one. Looking back at some of the faster boats, though, Negotiator and Heights of Abraham already going very, very quickly in the chop. Look at how much the boats are flying.
Negotiator's on your outside, he's about a length behind. Oh, okay. All together for me, Roots.
And you can hear Sophie Pugh there with Rupert on Heights of Abraham, and you can hear the impact as the boat crashes into the waves. Looking at Notorious there as well, and the turns, you've got to be careful. You can't carry too much speed through in these choppy conditions. In fact, there's a change of lead there up the inside. Power of Dreams. Notorious had the lead briefly. We're on board Team Williams.
Looking on the inside, mate.
Coming from the second rank.
Good move, mate, good move. Going.
And they're cutting their way through pretty fast. They do like these conditions. And already they're closing up on some of those boats that started 150 metres ahead of them. The Team Williams at the top of the shot there. going past Devonshire Charcuterie and Excite. So fast boat speed here for Team Williams. Scott and Ken on home waters here in Liverpool and showing a good turn of speed, as we might have expected and as they were feeling confident about before the race. They just seem to love these kind of conditions.
Okay, water's yours. Nothing on the outside. Take it as you want.
Scott and Ken sounding very confident. Look at Negotiator now and Real Player scything through, going right between the two slower boats there. And these guys also coming from the second rank. But they are the faster boats, remember, on board with Jack Glendinning. But there is Negotiator. Now they're currently sitting in third place. Paradream still leading the race. Team Williams up to second. Negotiator up to third, ahead of Real Player, who are staying right with them. They haven't dropped back at all.
Okay, go up left hand side, 10, 20 for now, 5 foot in front. Clear on the outside. Right space, miles behind us.
Jack always thrives in these conditions as well, but there is the boat that's currently leading the race. It is Power of Dreams Germany, Mark Niemann and Ronnie Studel. But catching them is Team Williams. And there is the gap between them. It's not much. Power of Dreams still in front, but Team Williams looking very, very strong in these conditions. And gradually they're closing the gap.
Come on, Sweet, stay in there. Come on, babe, come on, babe.
Battle for the lead is on.
You get him, mate, you get him.
And they're right there now with Power of Dreams. How brave are they going to be at this turn? They're taking a more sweeping, wider line on the way in, but they cut back. A good tight exit, and that takes them in front.
Good driving, mate, good driving. Keep the speed. Germans behind us. Negotiator, then Jack.
Team Williams are new leaders then. Power of Dreams in second place. And just look at Team Williams, very good through the water despite the choppy conditions. The boat looks beautifully balanced and stable. Going past one of the slow boats there, that's Claygate.
Come to me, mate, come to me. Germans, probably 50 yards back, 50 metres back.
They make it look very easy, but I can tell you, it really is pounding out there in these conditions. Williams leading, Power of Dreams in second place, Negotiator in third position, with Real Player still not far back. Scream It currently sitting in seventh place.
Don't kill her, mate, don't kill her, they're well back. Germans, Negotiator, then Jack.
Little update on where they are, where the opposition is, and they're well in front. There is Heights of Abraham, Rupert and Sophie. Now they're a little further down than they would like to be at this point. Need to find a bit of speed, just going past the slow boat Red Devil.
You okay?
Yeah.
And there is our race leader once again. Team Williams looking so solid when it really is very, very difficult out there.
Corner's yours, nice and easy.
Just see the crashing. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. And even the leaders getting into a bit of trouble.
Aye.
But they recovered it very, very well indeed. And now Negotiator catching Power of Dreams. This is for second place down. Whoa, that's an interesting line from Negotiator. My goodness, coming from a long way back and then just scything down. Oh, I'm glad Power of Dreams saw them coming there. That was a slightly strange approach. Negotiator, though, very much wanting to move up the order here. And oh, they've gone past Power of Dreams, who's suddenly slow. What has happened? Well, it looks like the engine's cut for the moment. They are coming to a halt, and that should allow Real Player to catch them as well. They've got it going again. There goes Real Player. Jack Glendinning goes past, but they fired it back up again. Whatever happened, very, very brief stoppage from Power of Dreams, our early race leaders. They're back up and running again. And they're challenging once more. They've actually got themselves on the outside there of Real Player. Look at that. So this is the battle for third position. Very strange, just a brief hiccup there for Power of Dreams, but they've got themselves back into the battle with Jack Glendinning and Simon Bucknell. Oh, and the boats running precariously close to one another, given the conditions. Hard to predict when the boat's going to land. Oh, Jack really having to work hard. He does like these sort of conditions, but my goodness, just flirting with disaster there.
Lost quite a bit there. Well driven.
Well driven, says Simon. Well, that's true. He's gathered it together. Scream it. Well, very fast at Lowestoft last time out, but I think they're finding these conditions a little bit more challenging. Still going to score some points here, but not as far up this time as they were racing off Suffolk. Back with our race leaders. It's looking pretty good for them. Coming into the closing stages now, and nobody's really been able to match them in these conditions. They do it, they take the victory. A fabulous home win for Team Williams, taking it from Negotiator in second place and Real Player in third. Heights of Abraham finished in sixth place, Scream It finished seventh, but there's no doubt it's a special day for Team Williams.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? This morning, really didn't think it was going to be that rough. And then to go out there and see them waves was just fantastic. And to do it at home in front of the crowd, very pleasing, really happy.
The checkered flag was a welcome sight for everyone, including points leaders Negotiator, after the trials of Lowestoft.
We beat Richard and Rupert, which is exactly where we need to be. You know, we'd like to say we would have liked to have had first, but we're not racing Scott yet for the championship. So I chuffed to bits with him, and he really deserves that. So yeah, it's good.
For Richard and Nicky, these conditions in Liverpool were a big contrast to the Mill Pond last time out, and they're pleased to have finished.
I must confess that is about the toughest, roughest pile of sea I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we went out there, and when we sat in it at the start run, we thought, this isn't about kind of where are we going to be, what sort of tactics are we going to do. This is about, oh my goodness, let's just try and actually stay alive. It was just unbelievable out there.
Well, Liverpool will certainly be celebrating after race one. However, with 2 more races to go, let's hope we don't disappoint those eager crowds. Join us after the break. Welcome back to the Honda Formula 4-Stroke Powerboat Series here in Liverpool. We're in a city that loves its football, and home team, Team Williams that is, has proved that even in a powerboat race, home advantage counts for something. Still second half to play though. Let's join Ben Edwards with a tactical analysis of what's to come.
Thanks, Tori. Well, Scott and Ken love the rough conditions, but it is a little less choppy today, and they're not making any assumptions in this competitive field.
Today I think we're just going to push as much as we can, just hope for a top 5 finish and just see how it goes. I mean, I think we're sitting about second or third in the championship now, which is ideal. I mean, our goal was to finish top 3 this year, and we just need to try and defend that today.
Who are going to be the top runners today?
I think Rupert's got something to go for, Richard's got something to go for. I mean, the you know, Negotiator boys got a clear lead, but after that, you know, there's 4 boats, just nothing in it, so it's going to be quite a bit of pushing.
So here's the starting lineup this time, and we can see that Negotiator is going to be pretty close to the first mark when they get up there. They've got Scream It and Heights of Abraham alongside them. The slower group of boats starting 150 metres behind as per normal. Conditions are a little bit easier as we prepare for this race than they were in the first, but let's see how all the competitors get on. They're given the start signal, the start boats peel away, and we go racing. Heights of Abraham making a pretty good start there by the looks of things, trying to edge in front as they head down towards the first mark. Rupert and Sophie Pugh looking for some more points here today.
What are you doing?
Oh, we're going round there, aren't we?
No, keep going. That's the bottom mark.
Confusion.
Sorry, baby.
You don't want to go the wrong way. You can easily pick up a penalty for missing one of these marker boys and taking the wrong route. Negotiator right up there. Vortican there too. Lings racing.
Come on! Push them out! Push them out! Do not collide!
Sophie in full voice.
Push them out!
Always urging, always encouraging. She really found it hard out there in those very rough conditions, but it hasn't put her off. She's pushing Rupert to the limit once again. We're on board Lings Racing. David and Chris. It's pretty exciting out there for them. They're just at the back of that group. You just see them dropping back a fraction. Actually, they lost a length or two. Perhaps that was a scary moment. It's Scream It that are leading.
Come on, Rich, get around it, get around it. It's hard, come on.
Richard and Nicky.
That's it.
They prefer these slightly smoother conditions. But look who's coming to join the party. It's Negotiator. Ooh, trying to squeeze through at the first mark, but no way through there. And tight line on the inside. In fact, a mistake from Vortigern. They almost come to a stop in front of Real Player. That must have been a little bit of moment for Jack and Simon. A very concise update from Simon as ever, so Jack knows exactly what's going on as they head up the next stretch, and they've got to be careful to make sure they go the correct side of the marker boys up there. Screamit.com still leading this race. Negotiator in second ahead of Heights of Abraham and Real Player. Then Team Williams and Premier Crew. Further down the order, Lings are running in 7th place ahead of Build Base and Vortigern. But Screamit here.
That's it. Good man. Good man. Good man. That's it. Fantastic. Come on.
Nicky's enjoying this. They're out in front. This is where they want to be again, as they were at Lowestoft. Now, can they keep it going? That's the question. Behind them, great rivals Negotiator. Gavin and Nathan. Always competitive, the reigning champions, of course. Lings Racing coming through as well. Battling there with Build Base.
Coming up on the tread, coming up on the tread.
Look at him go out through the inside.
Oh, Build Base just getting a little bit out of shape, but sorting it all out pretty well. Mark Cockman and Kevin Marshall in the boat today. Meanwhile, we're back with Negotiator, attacking for the lead of the race. Now they're catching Screamit. Now, coming down to the next mark, watch this. They're going for a very wide line. Screamit are much tighter to the mark, and they're going to pull it round to the left. Now, watch Negotiator going for a very shallow turn here and keeping boat speed, whereas Screamit have gone for the tighter turn but have to slow the boat more. Oh, and they almost make contact.
Straighten up, Rich, straighten up. Right there, that's it. Come on, move.
Very, very close.
Right, go, go, go.
Negotiator using the sort of tactics we used to see from multiple champion James Shepherd with that wide line into the corner, and it has worked for them pretty well. Negotiator just getting ahead. Interestingly, they both went either side of the marker there. That isn't one of the markers for the race course, but there is word that Negotiator may have missed one of the critical marker boys, or have gone the wrong side of it, and that's something we're going to have to watch out for. At the moment, though, on the water, they have moved ahead just of Screamit.com. And there we are with Gavin and Nathan. We've seen these guys lead races so many times in the past. Screamit back to second. Heights of Abraham now in third ahead of Team Williams. Real Player have also dropped back. They're now in 5th place ahead of Power of Dreams going well. Screamit second on the water. Heights of Abraham getting a little closer behind.
Go, go, go. Come on. Come on. Now get some speed up, Rich. Come on. Keep going.
Rupert and Sophie are definitely putting some pressure on. And there's Real Player also getting closer to the back of Team Williams. Team Williams not flying quite as well as they did in those choppy conditions.
That's it. Good man.
But for the moment, Screamit still second.
That's it. Hold it together. Come on. Nothing on the inside.
Watch the outside, though.
Get it back.
Because Heights of Abraham are not far behind. There is Negotiator. Still a question mark hanging over them in this race. And if they were deemed to have missed the marker buoy, they will have a 1-lap penalty added to them.
Exactly the same as last time. Come on. Get it back. Get it back. Don't worry.
Oh, no! It's gone wrong for Screamit. Nikki's out. She's in the water. Well, Richard trying to get everything sorted out here. But Nikki, it happened so fast, didn't it? Team Williams slowing down to check to see what's going on. Real Player going past as well. Jacqueline Dinning and Simon Butnell. Richard's still trying to sort something out in the boat so that he can presumably turn back and try and pick her up. But, well, she's okay. She's obviously upright. She's conscious, which is always the critical thing. And over's gone Vortigern now. My goodness, what's going on here? That's Michael and Stephen Baggs in the water. And again, they're both conscious. They're both showing that they're okay. But the boat, this time, completely upside down. Meanwhile, Nikki's being dragged unceremoniously back into the cockpit of Screamit. Oh dear. She doesn't look very, very up for getting back into this race, does she? That was all a bit of a shock to the system, I think. And now, finally, she's in position, and hopefully they can get going. But in fact, the race has been stopped. The red flag is out, so the race has been stopped. I'm glad to say that the crew of 4Stroke is perfectly okay. They're in the safety boat, but obviously a bit shocked, I should think. So the result sees Rupert and Sophie Pugh take the win from Team Williams and Real Player, but Negotiator was hit with a one-lap penalty for incorrectly passing a mark. And as several crews discovered, when it goes wrong, it can go wrong very quickly.
It was going so well.
I know. I can't believe that actually happened. We had such a cracking start run, which we knew we had to get today if we were going to maintain our position in the championship. So everything was going superb, and then we just caught their wake. And it's so quick when you go over, it's seconds.
And it was much the same story for 4Stroke.
Even now we don't know which way it rolled. I mean, you're just 1 minute you're going along, next minute you're in the water. So I mean, you're just thankful that we weren't hurt, and we can, you know, hopefully we get it all back together again for next time.
In the final race of the weekend, conditions were again a little smoother. Delmar hit the front and managed to stay there. Team Williams were battling with Negotiator. But for the weekend's first winners, it was all about to go wrong.
I can remember looking behind us, seeing Negotiator really, really close, and then the next thing we're swimming.
Scott and Ken ended up taking the plunge as Negotiator stopped to check they were okay. So Liverpool sees the overall win go to Rupert and Sophie Pugh with Heights of Abraham. They stayed upright when several others failed. And as a result, they have suddenly emerged as championship leaders by 4 points over Negotiator and Real Player in third. Biggest drop here was by Scream It, who now find themselves down in 8th position. Simon Loveridge and Octane are in 11th, and Delmar, who won that last race, in 12th.
So in Team Williams' bid to please the home crowds, they certainly provided us with some fantastic entertainment. Join us next time in the Isle of Man for the Championship Decider.